What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Thursday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt. And we come to you today with heavy hearts after what happened in New Orleans. Just a horrific scene in New Orleans, and the Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia did not happen yesterday for obvious reasons. I just want to first start off the podcast with my thoughts and well wishes to anyone and everyone affected. New Orleans is a very special city. I've talked about this before, but my three favorite cities outside of my home city of Boston. I love Nashville, I love Las Vegas, and I love New Orleans. And to see something like that happen to a city that's been through so much from Katrina and everything else that's gone on down there, to have that act of violence be perpetrated, in that way, early in the morning on New Year's Day, when nobody is prepared for it, and the death count keeps on climbing, and the injuries is just, you make a truck into a weapon, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who want to blame and talk about how and when and why, but at the end of the day, somebody did something horrific again in this country and caused mass casualties, and sports become very much on the secondary and into the back burner, and they do not matter, and that's why they postponed the game. So I'm assuming Notre Dame and Georgia play tonight. I don't know if they're going to, but I'm going to assume at the time of taping that is still what's supposed to happen tomorrow, but it would not be surprising at all if at some point over the next couple of hours they say, okay, we're playing it on Friday, or we're going to play it on Saturday, or whatever, because really it doesn't matter, because we're talking about an environment that is pretty close, a crime scene that's really close to the Superdome, and you can't play around with any of this stuff. I mean, by all accounts, the perpetrator did not act alone, so that means there's more people out there who could be looking to inflict more damage on New Orleans. And why the Sugar Bowl and why New Orleans? I don't know. I just know that my heart breaks for the people in New Orleans and for the tourists and the people that went down there to cheer on Notre Dame and Georgia and have a really good festive new year, and to have it be completely tarnished in this way. Hard for these football players to focus on a game. So, yeah, that stinks. So my thoughts goes out to everyone impacted, and hopefully we figured this whole thing out as to what exactly happened, and we can go back talking about sports and betting on football. Yesterday, a 1-1 day. Texas wins, but they have to go to overtime to do it. They win by 8. They do not cover the 12. It was a wild, wild football game. Texas was up big, 24-8. They were coasting, and then all of a sudden, Cam Scatterbo and company, they rally. Some incredible individual performances. Great plays by Arizona State, and they should not be hanging their heads at all. They got off to a rough start, okay? So far, these two things happened in which I talked about last night on the podcast. The first half, Penn State came out. They had played. Boise did not. Up big. Texas, they had played. Arizona State had not. Up big at half. Ohio State against Oregon, they had played. Oregon had not. One more game here tonight. If you want to add in the first half Notre Dame, go ahead, because Notre Dame has played and Georgia has not. And this is something I thought about a long time ago, that having the first round home game is not nearly as detrimental in a quarterfinal round as it could be in the final. I mean, if you play 4 games, that's really hard. 4 playoff games, you may be out of gas, okay? But in the second playoff game, you shouldn't be out of gas. You should be raring to go. And Ohio State was up, 31-8 at the break? It was 14-3, I think, for Texas. And then it was Penn State. I forget the Penn State score, but they were up big. So all teams that played in the first half covered. One were leading money line and against the number after the first half, after they played, versus the team that sat. So how important, how big will that bye be going forward? I don't know. Arizona State with the bye, they're out. Boise State with the bye, they're out. Oregon with the bye, they're out. Georgia, could they be next with the bye to be out? Just saying, the college football committee is going to totally revamp this thing. This thing is going to look nothing like it does right now going forward. Okay, we're not Boise State, a Power Five, a Group of Five team will never get a bye ever again. Never happening. You're going to see reseeding. You're going to see conference champions getting in, but not getting a top 5 seed or a top 4 seed. All those things are not happening in the future with the college football playoff. But the over comes in easily for us here with Oregon and Ohio State. That was the one game we got right. That should be 1 unit, not 1.1, but plus 1 unit. So down 0.1 with a 1.1 unit. 1-1, down 0.1 unit play. So really flat for us here as we head towards a Thursday. So still time to have a winning week here. And as we start the 2025 year, which will take me about a month to get used to saying 2025, 1-1 to start the new year. I am traveling again today back to Massachusetts and New Hampshire, so I will not be able to watch a ton of things. So I just have 2 bets for us going today. And the first one you already know. It's, again, I'm taking Notre Dame plus 1.5. If the number dramatically moves and we start seeing, a bunch of different numbers come in because the game was pushed back, I don't know why it would, but it's plus 1.5. It's 1. Notre Dame is favored at certain books now, so we're sitting on a better number with the Irish at plus 1.5. It's a pick at a bunch of books. It's -1 for the Irish, so there was some late money that came in. I think you might see some late Georgia money come in as well, but I'll take the plus 1.5. We're sitting on the 6-1 with Georgia, and we'll just ride with this, and we'll see what ends up happening for this. So if Georgia wins by 1, that's great. That's exactly what we want with that. A Georgia win by 1 would be the best case scenario for us. We'd keep one bet alive and we'd cash the plus 1.5. So we've got that bet going for us with Notre Dame plus 1.5 for -115 for 1.15 units. And I do have one college basketball bet to add. Number 9, Oregon will be taking on number 22, Illinois at home coming up here tonight. This is going to be a really interesting basketball game in the Big Ten. So Oregon's already lost a home game this year. They lost to UCLA at home in a non-conference game, 73-71. Actually, no, that was a conference game. Sorry, 73-71. Forgot UCLA's in the Big Ten. So would they lose 2 home games? I don't think so. That would be really surprising to me for the Ducks to lose again. And Dana Altman really prides himself on winning home games. And so already having 1 loss on the home schedule, the only loss of the year for the Ducks, really surprising to see them lose 2 games. Illinois goes in there. According to KenPom, it's a 79-75 win. That's a 4-point win. The current number is Oregon -2.5. For Illinois, they've gone on the road down to Birmingham against Alabama. They lost badly. They went on the road to Northwestern and they lost in overtime. We were on Northwestern in that game, 70-66. And they were at home against Tennessee and they lost the game 66-64. Since taking on Tennessee against Missouri and Chicago State, they won both those games, one by 80-77 and 117-64. But here's the thing. The schedule really is strong for Illinois, but the only win they have over a top 50 team is Wisconsin, and they won that game at home 86-80. This is a road game against a team ranked in the top 15 on KenPom. Alabama was 9, they lost. Tennessee was 4, they lost. Northwestern was 45, they lost. Now they beat Arkansas, who was 39th, and Wisconsin, who's 32nd. Those 2 wins in the top 50, sorry. But nothing outside, nothing in the top 25. I like Oregon here. I like the Ducks at home. I like their offense. The Ducks are 24th in efficiency. Their effective field goal percentage is not great, but I think offensively the Ducks will be able to, like most teams do, they play better at home. And as long as they're getting to the foul line and hitting their free throws, I think they should be pretty good. They hit it about 75% of the time from a free throw shooting perspective. The offense for Illinois has been pretty good, but they really don't shoot threes very well. They're 176th in three-point shooting. The Ducks are 24th in three-point defense. They're 25th in effective field goal percentage, and they're 21st in offensive efficiency. Defensively, they've been really strong this year. Offensively is where they really kind of need to work on some things, but at Night Arena, I think you get the home crowd, you get the ratcheted up, and it's only a 2.5-point number. I think it's good to lay it. I'm going to take the Ducks -2.5 at home up against Illinois for 1.1 units. All right, so 2 bets going for us here today on the Daily Juice for a Thursday. Notre Dame plus 1.5. That number now is 1. Favored for the Irish, but plus 1.5. We bet that a couple days ago at minus 115. And the Oregon Ducks at home minus 2.5 up against Illinois in college basketball. I will get to more picks and plays coming up later on in the week. We have a big Week 18 NFL Saturday and Sunday coming at you guys, and more college basketball. And we'll start betting hockey again very soon. Well, we're getting past the first of the year. Now we can start to focus in on the NHL. We'll start adding in some hockey plays and back to the NBA player props as well as we'll get rolling here on this. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt. Every single morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts, it is the Daily Juice.